There's something about mirrors, isn't there? Something eerie, like you're staring at a version of yourself that could slip away at any moment, revealing something darker. And in Black Swan, that's exactly what happens. The film isn't just a psychological thriller, it's a horror story. A horror about obsession, about identity, and about the darkest parts of ourselves that we're terrified to face. In Black Swan, Darren Aronofsky doesn't just explore a fragile mind, he breaks it open, exposing a psychological nightmare where reality and delusion bleed together. As Nina Sayers descends deeper into her obsession with perfection, she begins to see things, monstrous things, things that reflect her inner turmoil. And as she spirals out of control, the film transforms into a nightmarish reflection of her psyche. This isn't a movie just about ballet. It's a film about the horror that lives within us all, and how sometimes we can't escape it. From the very beginning, mirrors play a central role in Black Swan. But these aren't just reflective surfaces. They're portals, showing Nina a distorted, twisted version of herself. Mirrors are used in horror for a reason. They symbolize self-reflection, sure, but more than that. They serve as a reminder that there's a gap between who we think we are and who we truly are. And for Nina, that gap widens as her obsession with perfection deepens. It's subtle at first, these small, almost imperceptible breaks in reality. Her reflections seem off, her movements don't always sync up. And that's terrifying. It's that creeping sense that you're losing control, that what you are seeing isn't real anymore, that your mind is betraying you. These moments are designed to unnerve the audience, to make us feel what Nina is feeling, paranoia. That suffocating paranoia that's so integral to horror. You start to question what's real and what's imagined. And Nina, trying so hard to remain the perfect, innocent white swan, begins to see a darker side manifesting in these reflections. The Black Swan is there, lurking just beneath the surface, clawing its way out. Monsters are real, and ghosts are real too. They live inside us, and sometimes they win. As the film progresses, the mirror becomes a symbol of Nina's fractured psyche. She's not just looking at herself, she's confronting the monsters she's becoming. The mirror becomes the horror of self-realization. The moment where Nina understands she can no longer control her descent to madness. One of the most visceral moments of Black Swan is the way Nina's body begins to betray her. There's a long history of body horror in cinema, and Aronofsky taps into this brilliantly. Body horror works because it forces us to confront the fragility of our own physical selves, the idea that our bodies can turn against us, that they can change in grotesque, uncontrollable ways. Is deeply unsettling. And in Black Swan, Nina's body becomes a battleground. Nina's transformation into the Black Swan is not just psychological, it's physical. We see it in the bloodied feet, the cracking skin, and most disturbingly, the feathered wings that begin to sprout from her back. These aren't just hallucinations, they represent her complete loss of control. Her body is manifesting her internal struggle, and it's horrifying. She's literally becoming the Black Swan, and it's destroying her from the inside out. The horror of the body is that it's a reminder of our own mortality, our own vulnerability. There's something inherently nightmarish about the idea of your own body turning into something foreign. Nina's hallucinations blur the line between real and the imagined, but the pain she feels is real. And that's the key to understanding the horror of Black Swan. It's not just about the mental breakdown, it's about the physical toll that perfectionism and repression can take on her body. Her fingers bleed, her skin cracks, her bones ache. This is the horror of perfectionism. It's not just psychological, it's a complete breakdown of the self. Her transformation is not just a graceful one, it's a violent, it's grotesque, it's horrifying. At the heart of Black Swan is the concept of the doppelganger, the double, and in horror, the doppelganger is one of the most terrifying archetypes. The idea that there's another version of you, an evil, twisted version living just beneath the surface, waiting to take your place. And for Nina, this doppelganger is Lily. Lily represents everything Nina can't be, free-spirited, seductive, uninhibited. But more than that, she embodies the Black Swan. Throughout the film, Nina becomes obsessed with the idea that Lily is trying to take her place, to steal her role in Swan Lake. But the truth is, Lily isn't her enemy. Nina's real enemy is herself. The Black Swan isn't outside of her. It's been inside of her all along, waiting to emerge. In each of us, there is another whom we do not know. He speaks to us in dreams and tells us how differently he sees us from the way we see ourselves. This is where the real horror lies. Nina isn't battling Lily. She's battling the dark, repressed parts of herself. The parts she spent her whole life trying to control. The more she tries to embody the white swan, pure and innocent and perfect, the more the black swan forces its way to the surface. And by the end, the two have become completely inseparable. This moment is the culmination of Nina's psychological breakdown. In trying to destroy her doppelganger, she destroys herself. It's the ultimate act of self-destruction because Nina can't accept that the black swan is part of her, and so she ends herself both figuratively and literally. Black Swan at its core is a horror film, not just because of the unsettling imagery of body horror, but because of what it says about the human condition. The pursuit of perfection is a dangerous game, and for Nina, it's a game she can't win. Her obsession with control, with purity, with being the perfect dancer ultimately leads her to her destruction. The scariest monsters are the ones that lurk within our own minds. In the end, Black Swan is a story about the horrors of repression, the dangers of denying our darker impulses. It's about what happens when we try to split ourselves in two, when we refuse to embrace the chaos, the darkness, the imperfections that make us whole. Nina wanted to be perfect, but perfection, as the film shows us, is an illusion, and chasing that illusion can be deadly. Sometimes the monsters we fear the most are the ones we see in the mirror.